you. You're tuned in to the Skirts Up Show with Samantha and Melissa.
Join our mission to normalize failure, but still uncover the positives at every twist and turn.
Skirts up, but keep your panties on. What's up, Skirts Up Squad? It is Samantha
And Melissa.
and we are here today to share with you the shit show.
Yeah, we had a small shit show, didn't we?
I feel like it is a long story of a long fail.
Yeah, actually, you're right. We definitely don't need to fail for this episode. This is a fail/success, but isn't that the point of our fails, I guess?
Yeah, the whole point of sharing fails is how eventually you see you have to have fails.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, what else could we be talking about other than our big fundraising gala?
Which thank God it's over. I mean, I'm so glad we did it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so
Definitely.
glad and happy that we met people that we met.
Me too, actually.
And I'm so thankful that we were able to help people in a way with our platform.
Same.
But man,
It was
so glad it's
not
over.
for not. Yeah, it was stressful.
It was stressful and really just about if anything that could anything that could go wrong went wrong.
Yes, maybe. Yes, it did. Every single plan got changed.
Yeah, multiple times.
Yeah.
So why don't
Tell us
we
the story.
start from the beginning
Okay,
and let's go from there.
let's do it. All right, Sam. So let's talk about, well, first of all, you guys already know that our fundraising event was to benefit the Five Hive and the Mom to Mom, the families. Oh, thank you. I always say that wrong. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so Moms Adopting Moms and the Five Hive. They obviously, we've been touting them for this whole season. We wanted to help them. They work with DFACs, helping families who have been recently reunited from the foster care
Where
system.
does this idea even stem from? Where we were like,
So where did this start?
so it started when we met Kelly.
I could say it started sooner than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have a passion and a love for to foster.
And you've been teetering on, do I want to foster?
years.
And so then it was kind of like a little sign when Kelly was like, oh, we adopted our children from the foster care. And so if you guys ever want to do anything with the foster care system, let me know. I'd love to help. And then we were like, light bulb.
And she meant charity-wise, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, we were. You're right. That kind of was like, we could do that. And we do care about that.
So then we were like, who do we contact? Because that's a great idea. And Simon and I, we provide Christmas for as many families as we can every year anyways. So then when the idea of foster families came up, it was like, oh yeah, why not? Like,
Yeah. And so Sam was kind of in a position where it's like, okay, we already do this anyway. So she started reaching out to some of the groups that she'd
just kind of heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't really know anything about.
Tell me about, because I didn't realize until today that you had a previous interaction with the Five Hive before this.
I can't tell you how I even found them on Facebook. I don't remember. I feel, yes, a friend had shared one of their posts on Facebook about needing a home for a specific child. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I think I remember that friend even like knows people, which I keep forgetting to ask Megan, but I think they know each other. And so I started following them because I was like, oh, maybe if the right child that like we want to help like comes along, like we can say something. So at one point, a pregnant teen did pop up of needing a placement, and I went, that's for us. And I had messaged them, the Five Hive, and I was like, hey, I would love to be considered as a home placement for them. And they responded and they said, okay, where are you licensed? And I was like, I'm not licensed yet. Like, I guess I didn't really know anything about it. And that was the extent of any conversation I had ever had with them, because obviously they don't have time to like, they're trying to place someone quickly.
Yeah,
So obviously don't have time to be like, oh, well, that's not how it works.
And I'm sure they would have loved to walk you through that, because like that's what they value. Yeah, exactly. They love education and kind of helping people get in touch with the right people to learn how to help others. However, they clearly needed to place this person.
Yeah, and it wasn't the right time. Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, so you'd already heard of them, and so you decided to go ahead and reach out to them again after we had that moment with Kelly.
And that was a really awkward reach out. I started with a Facebook message. I was like, hey, is there a good email that I can reach out to you about a fundraising idea that we have? And in that email, I was like, yeah, look, I understand that our name sounds provocative and probably doesn't.
That's right.
I was so worried. I was like, so I understand if you don't want a group that's called Skirts Up being promoted with children, and we just be a match, but maybe you know of a way that we can still help. And she goes, can we just set up a phone call? And she was like, first off, I don't care like what your name is. Like,
she's like, I just need help.
I need help. And she was like, I'm not judging anyone. Like, I can see why it feels a little bit like people judge you. She was like, I'm not judging anyone. Like, I think it's still cool. And so then she was like, well, what were you guys thinking? And at the time,
we weren't 100% sure what it looked like. We just knew we wanted to kind of like give some presents probably to foster families.
Yes. But in our mind, it was foster homes.
Yeah.
And so we were thinking that the children that are in foster homes need love and care. Let us provide that. And so I'm telling Megan this, and she just gets to this point and she stops me and she goes, I just need to be honest. Those children don't need help. And I was like, oh, okay, well then who does? And, I was just like really taken back. And she proceeds to tell me, that's when I hear for the first time that there's the whole reunification process. And that what most people don't understand and don't know is that once children return home after some work and processing, that they more times than not return back into foster homes because there is no support for them to succeed. And I was like, wow, okay, well, that makes sense. But why would we provide support to drug?
How would we even, right?
No. I said,
why?
Why would we provide support and resources to drug addicts that lost their children?
Forgot that part. I remember you saying that.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't mean this in a rude way. I'm just like, as a general thought. And she goes, well, a lot of people in our programs that we are helping through this are not on drugs. It's a poverty situation.
Also, those who are work really hard to be accepted into the program to show that they are trying their best to like move on and be clean.
That they accept.
And that they want to do everything that they can to keep their kids.
And that's
who needs to be helped.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we learned by meeting Sean and hearing his story is, these parents could have gotten into drugs. Yeah. But it did not dictate the whole rest of their life because they found these programs
to a story, right?
Yeah.
It's not just two-sided.
Found these programs that are 3 years long and worked and worked and worked to get their children back. So it
was pretty incredible.
Oh, yeah. Goosebumps. Everyone
when you told me, I immediately was like, yes, because I already had like a foundational knowledge, not because like I've ever fostered or anything, but just through talking to friends that were therapists and just talking to different people over the years, because I'd always kind of thought about it. Mm-hmm. And I did understand that in the foster system, it's really important. And anything like that the foster system tries to do is to get those kids back at home with their families, because that is going to be the best for everyone in the end, as long as the parents can, I guess, just make the decisions that they need to be making.
Yeah.
That are healthy for their families. And it's easier to make those decisions when you have people on your side and in your court.
I'm going to be honest. I also had only heard of people fostering to keep kids safe and to possibly adopt.
Out of that situation.
Yeah, those parents don't deserve them back. Like, what can we do to keep the child? And so
it's kind of sad.
Yeah. I had never heard the point of view of, well, children need to be with their parents. How can we help the parents be better?
So there's not like generational trauma.
Yeah.
Continuing on.
So it was enlightening in like multiple different ways. But that's how Megan gave us that truth bomb.
She did. It's so funny. We like to call that Megan's truth. Thank you, Megan. So from there, we both were like, yes, me and Sam, total same page. Yes, we are going to have some kind of a fundraising event for these kids.
And
Where did it go?
downfall.
No.
Oh no, this is how I go. I go, we're going big, we're going grand. And that's how I do on everything. Let's start a podcast. We're going big. Like, you're laughing, but it's true.
Because it's true. But it's not a downfall. It's like, it's just a flaw. Yeah, like what mine's the opposite. My character flaw is, yeah, let's do it. And then I want to overpromise. And then it's like, I'm overwhelmed and I can't help as much as I want. So like we both have opposite kind of sides. Like we both want to get and meet in the middle though. And I think that's kind of what we learned through this journey, that we can meet in the middle, maybe.
I think eventually that's what we learned.
Didn't learn it right away.
No, it was not that easy. I feel like we were both on the same page of let's do a gala.
Yeah, kinda. I still, because you did tell me later, you're like, you never told me you didn't want to do a gala.
I still to this day
really thought that I had.
Like
Don't
still
feel like
to
I
this
did.
day, I don't feel like I ever heard you say like, no, that's not the direction that I feel we should go in.
Not that I had said the word.
I'm not saying you did it.
That's okay. No, I thought I had said, and maybe this doesn't even say no to a gala either, but I thought I had said, and this is kind of harsh. I thought I had said something to the effect of, I feel like it's kind of gross to spend that much money on a gala when there's a lot of kids that the money could just go straight to them.
I remember that comment.
Yeah. But at the same time, it wasn't quite.
But that was after the fact of, planning a name and like what it'll look like.
Oh, and so I think I didn't realize how big you were going in your head.
That makes sense.
I think in my mind, yeah, gala in quotation marks. That's our event night. But I wasn't thinking gala. Like we're all dressing up fancy. We're going to have a very catered dinner.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Tell me everything that you envisioned.
Okay. So
I did see it.
I saw gala. I wanted, originally I wanted black tie, formal, all the things, bells and whistles. Yeah. Serve dinner. Like who doesn't want to dress up?
So you want to hear it's funny? Like you say that and I'm still imagining it in my mind. Cause like my shop is in an old factory. Right. And so you can see like the exposed beams. And in my mind, I thought, okay, we're going to find like an old warehouse or somewhere. We're going to go in there and just kind of dress up and use this place. But you're like, no, this is going to be fancy, Melissa. You said, we cannot do this in.
I love factory style and rustic.
You do, but that's not what you wanted.
No, it's not what I saw. And so there was one event venue that was totally on board.
Do you want to name
the Carl House? That's where the guy who runs that place, so sweet. And he was so on board with us having it there.
This is actually, sorry.
It was that day.
Yes, this is the day when I think everything started. Because you were so excited to tell me, hey, they're going to give us this deal. And I was like, okay, well, how much is it? And then I was like, fuck, no.
I was like, what are you not getting? Like, this is great.
Yeah, you said that. You said that to me. And I was like, that is so rude to tell me, what are you not getting?
I was like, what are you not getting? This is a phenomenal deal.
It was a good deal.
It's everything included. Like,
it was a good deal.
For half the price of what we were talking about. And so I was like, Melissa.
But it was, half the price in your mind.
Half the price of the big grand thing.
There you go. And in my mind, I was still thinking that we could.
That's crazy.
It was still too expensive in my mind.
Yeah.
And
that's fair.
So I was like, okay, well, maybe I can figure out some ways. I'll make some calls. I can do it. But then I couldn't. And I just didn't have time. And it was like, whatever.
And I was like,
it's happening.
I'll appease her. I will make some calls too. And, show a good effort.
You did.
I tried an effort of.
Yeah, you did. You were like, I tried calling these people. It's a little cheaper, but this is still the best deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, fine. We're coming into this, 2 months ahead?
Mm-hmm. And so after this date, we did still talk about, well, what would we call this? And you were like, I want something fairy. And I was like
sugar plums. In my mind, that
sugar
kept coming
plums.
up.
Yeah. And I was like, well, how the fuck do we use sugar plums? Like,
I know, it's
it's
silly.
like, I have no idea how that would work.
I was thinking of sugar plums dancing in their head, like the sweet little children in their beds, dreaming of Christmas. That is what I was envisioning.
Yes. And it took me a few days. And then I was like, wait, the sugar plum.
You came up with her. It was so cute.
Yes. That's exactly it. And then it tied in the sugar plums that you had come up with. And then I think I added maybe the fairy part.
You did.
But then I was like, oh yeah, the land of sweets. And I started learning more about that, the Nutcracker and the ballet. And then I got just totally like lost.
Really inspired. And if she wasn't already.
Oh yeah. Like went down. I learned everything.
Yes. Whenever I have like a grand event or gala or wedding, you're planning it. That's for sure. When I have unlimited funds.
It was beautiful. It was so beautiful in my head. And I was so excited. Candy, large candy everywhere, but like in a formal, glittery way, like still dressing up, but in a fun, alternative way.
Yes. It was like, hey, you want to dress up, dress up. If you want to wear a suit, wear a suit. If you don't, if you like, it's like, be you, but be extra you.
Yeah. And so we had all of this. We have our big entertainment. We have Kelly. We have
Kelly Palmatier, by the way. We haven't said that yet in this episode. But those who are new and joining us, she is one of our previous episodes. She had joined us. She's a psychic medium. And when we mentioned Kelly earlier today, we were talking about Kelly Palmatier.
Yes, that is who.
From Channeling White Light.
That was our light bulb of, oh, this is what we're doing.
But yeah, she said she would be our entertainment.
Yep. So we had our entertainment. The Carl House didn't have the date available that we had to do because
it was relieved about that. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. It was the only date. We had a date and it had to be that date because it's the only date that all of us were available. So we had our entertainment. And then after that, we were able to find a venue, which wasn't my dream venue, but
it was less expensive.
It was less expensive and it was going to work. It had a stage and it was fine.
I'm not, the Carl House. I do love it. If you guys have ever been into it or been past it, it is amazing. And I would have loved if
you were on board.
If I was on board, that would have been a great place to have it. 100%. Yes. Okay. So we found somewhere else.
So yes, we had the space. We had our main event. I had been reaching out of like, okay, what is this grand entertainment that we could have? And I found this dance studio. I'm not going to name them because that also is something that just didn't go right. They promised that they were coming up with this.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. I never even asked you.
I was so excited about this flash mob.
Yeah. And she kept saying surprise entertainment.
Yeah. And that's what it was. It was a flash mob because I'm fucking grand. And what's more grand than experiencing a flash mob?
Like that would be amazing if I was sitting in a gala event and then people around me started getting up and singing.
Right. And Simon and I,
magical for sure.
Simon and I, if you guys remember, we went to Mexico to officiate a wedding for some friends. And at that event, we were sitting in the hotel lobby or the resort lobby or whatever for drinks and everyone's sitting there. And all of a sudden, one by one, people start getting up out of their seats and dancing. And at first you're like, oh, people are dancing. That's fun. And then it's like, oh, should we start dancing? And then another person gets up and then you realize, oh, no, they're dancing.
And then Sam's with them too.
Just join on in. What are you doing? I know. That's something I would do.
I know.
Let me just try and join you. But yeah, and I just remember thinking like, oh my God, this is so cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So I was like, grand idea. Let's do this. We're going to have a flash mob. We have Kelly as our entertainment. We have catered food. I found this catering company called Time to Cater. Time as in like the seasoning. And they were local. And so again, we're trying to keep things local. We have a local dance studio, local event, local food now. And all the reviews are so good. And so this is all great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. It hasn't been paid for yet. I'm still terrified.
Yeah.
I was. But at this point, I'm like, you know what? Hey, we're not having to pay for the Carl House. It's a little less expensive than that. Still, I'm scared. But we're in it. We're in it. So let's make it work.
And we had a little tip about it.
I tried really hard. I promise I did. I feel bad because
I know.
I had this horrible, I mentioned this to Sam earlier because as you'll hear in the story, things kind of started falling apart. And I never told her this till today, but I had this really awful, maybe you could compare it to survivor's guilt. Maybe like where you have
I
no
think that's a little aggressive, but I get it. I get it.
reason to be guilty, but you kind of feel guilty. So it's like, oh shoot, like all of this stuff is falling apart. She probably thinks I'm happy. And I don't feel happy. I feel bad. I'm sad that it's not what
Like
she wanted.
feeling of like, did I not want this bad enough?
Like, is it my fault? Is this falling
I get
apart?
that.
Because like I didn't.
I get
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And it wasn't obviously, but I still had like some major guilt, and I was like, oh my gosh. But anyway, okay, so we kind of have a plan here.
We have a plan. Her and I are feeling friction, but not understanding. Like, I'm not understanding where she's coming from and like, what are you saying to me? And then really, I think that's just really the problem is I'm not understanding what you're trying to say to me. So that's maybe why I say I did not know you did not want this, because I think something was not clicking.
That's fair. It's totally fair.
And
I was excited about the gala. So of course you're confused. Like, I was trying hard to be on board, but at the same time, like, hey, let's scale it back a little. And I didn't want to. So maybe I wasn't clear enough. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Communication. We tried, but now we know. So you get on board and you're like, all right, how are we making this happen? What are we doing? And we said, well, we're going to start town by town and we will go to business and we will find sponsors.
Yeah.
And we had all these different packages and ways that businesses could.
Honestly, guys, we spent a lot of time with our mentors that we paid good money to meet with.
Yes, we did.
They were let's tag them. They're amazing.
Yeah. So honestly, a lot of this also was encouraged. And we kept getting, you can do this. This is great. From our mentors.
Yeah. And so just to kind of set the stage here, they were our mentors for the podcast. Okay. Not technically for the sponsoring of the fundraiser. However, one of them does have fundraising, event history specialties, I guess you could say.
It was the perfect time, like hand in hand to learn.
Yeah. And
your practices.
She was trying to help us. But at the same time, I think we didn't give them. She did say you guys don't have much time. But yeah, so anyway, our mentors we even sat down with them and they helped us make up packages. Like, okay, if you're going to go and sponsor yourself, like get sponsors, this is how you're going to present yourself to the businesses. And that was so helpful.
So we did that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dee and Megan.
Yeah, you guys were great. So we go to downtown Monroe. And Melissa, how did that go?
Well, we started out with breakfast and we thought, you know what? We're here at breakfast. Let's hit up the manager at this restaurant right now.
Because he came up and said hi. He seemed really nice. And so we were like, oh, wait, come back.
Yeah. And I think we even kind of laughed with him. We're like, hey, can we, you're going to be our very first mark.
Very first pitch. Bear with us.
Yeah. And he was sweet. He was so
nice
sweet
about it.
He was like, you guys, if you need help, like he wasn't really ready to throw in and commit. But he was like, if you guys need help with anything and you need some advice.
He was also honest. He said, the event's not for me.
That's right.
He said, personally, this event is not for me up my alley, but I'm open to helping you word it in a better way.
Was this the first time you had that thought like, oh, and that's when you said, let's go meet with.
Yeah, this is the first tiny, tiny, tiny little seed of, wait, what's going on here? What's not to love?
I failed big time because I never said, maybe we shouldn't put those two things together. Well, honestly, the truth is I don't think I really thought of it or realized it until after it was already done. Because I shared it with somebody in my shop.
Oh,
she came in. I said, hey, this is going on. She had fostered kids for years. And I said, this is going to be our entertainment. And she was like, well, that's cultish. And I said, she goes, that's what she said. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like people are going to think that's cultish. And I was like, I guess they could think that. She goes, well, it is. And I was like, oh, yeah. She goes, the type of people you're trying to get to help you aren't going to be attracted to the psychic medium as your entertainment. And I thought, what do you mean the type of people? We just want good people. And like what you think only like very conservative Christian people are the type that will foster children. That's not true. And I didn't really 100% listen. Yeah. But that was my first.
Oh. And then you forgot to share that.
I did not share that with you.
Okay. Okay. Oh yeah. When I go, what was that about?
I was like, what's not to So actually, this is the second time I'm hearing this.
Yeah. And so then I was like, oh, okay. Well, if you've heard this before, all right. I know someone in downtown. Let's go they're really religious. Let's go ask them if we can pitch them and see what kind of response and feedback we get. We do that. And that did not go well, guys.
It was kind of harsh.
I love it because it gave us an honest, this is what we're up against.
Yes, it did. In more ways than one. It wasn't even just honest of, this is what you're up against. It was honest as in, we were up against that person in a sense, not even on purpose, but that person was just like, I will not help. And so, Sam, you were sideswiped because you know this person well.
And I wasn't.
And they're a good person.
They're a great person. And I know them fairly well. And I was not expecting such a
strong response.
Maybe I guess harsh is the word that's coming to mind, but like, it was honest for them. It was there. So that's what we were asking for.
It was. And the thing where I think is where it got really harsh is when you were kind of like, oh, and you didn't know what to say or what to do.
I kept looking at Melissa and trying to read her eyes, and I would go to say something, and then her eyes, she would like move her eyes like in a no, like a side. And so then I'd be like, oh, okay. And then I was like, okay, Melissa will talk.
Because you were going to tell her that I would grow up Mormon. And I was like, don't do it. Yep. Don't do it. Yep. And you read my mind, actually.
And then it got to the point where I was like, all right, I'm going to stop talking. Melissa will just take over now because I'm like staring into your eyes and you're telling me like, shh. And so then you just kind of take it over. And then when we left, I was like, was I crazy or was there like a lot of pushback? And you're like, no. She goes, and I was trying to send you the shut up signs because it was going to get worse.
It was. And I didn't want her to know that I was Mormon because there is a lot of like in the Southern Christian, there's a lot of like, like kind of like rivalry, I guess, where Mormons aren't real Christians. And then I thought that would just make it even worse. Like if she thought you were associated with somebody who was,
you're trying to protect me. And this is like bummer after bummer, like bubble popped, like, oh, there's hate around this. There's hate around that. Like, what is happening?
Yeah. And you were like, I didn't know why is there hate around another religion from another religion? Like even that was just a surprise to you. And
it was in like an hour span. Yeah, I'm like,
she was hit over the head.
And so then we leave and we're out on the street. And
we sat down on a bench
because I'm just shell shocked. And I'm like, holy shit. What do we do, Melissa? We're fucked. Yeah. Like, if this is how people feel about what we're doing and what we're trying to do, we're fucked.
Yeah. So I think I was kind of like, well, not everybody feels this way. Let's change our audience.
This is when you stepped up and you go, no. Calm down.
Tell me, how did you see that happening?
So I'm literally like, oh, fuck. Do we throw in the towel? What are we going to do? I'm like spiraling, like full spiraling, eyes like starting to like wail up. And you go, no, we need a different audience. And I'm like, well, what does that mean, Melissa? And you go, edge. We need more acceptance. And so she goes, like a tattoo shop. It was so random. And she goes, a tattoo shop? And then I look up, I'm like, there's a tattoo shop right there.
Yeah.
And you're like, we're going in. And I go, okay, hold on.
We did. But I think had you heard things about that tattoo shop before?
No, I had never,
No, you just saw it.
No, I just knew it was there.
That's so funny.
Yeah. And then I looked up, I'm like, oh yeah, it's like literally right there.
So I'll shout out to them. It's No Cross, No Crown.
Mm-hmm.
And I did forget the owner's name again. Lee, that's right. Leigh. She was amazing. Okay, so
we go in and we're awkward as fuck. I'm still discouraged and like you can see it. Like I'm just shoulder slumped. Like, can we just tell you some shit? And so
like, girl, she was so open and she's like, come here, come tell me everything. I don't know. She not really like that. I'm exaggerating, but we felt like, okay.
Once we started telling her like how people were, and then once we told her what people were saying and how they were treating us, that's when she was like, I got you.
Yeah. It was really sweet.
Yeah. That's when she was like, no, fuck these people.
Yeah.
She was like, you go to this business.
Yeah.
Go to Happy Camper. They're understanding. Go to Bath and Rents.
Oh, she said go to Bath and yeah, that's right.
She gave us people who would be more understanding. And what's really funny is that when we went to Happy Camper, they also were so sweet, all about it. Yeah. So at least we had 2 positive interactions and I was still exhaustedly defeated.
Yeah, we were thinking of going to lunch and then we thought, okay, we saw a manager outside the row, I guess. We thought, okay, let's just do this one last person.
Yeah, we knew he was a manager because we heard him talking to someone else. And then we're like, when he was done, we go, excuse me, can we steal you for a second?
He was very kind.
He was very kind. And he was happy to listen to us. And he did. And offer us, some help. And we're like, oh, thank you. So
we're feeling a little better.
A little better. Yeah. It was another little tiny positive in, where someone didn't spew meanness at us.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, well, let's just go to lunch. Let's recap and plan a different way to execute what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we go to Winder and we're like, oh, well, Winder isn't as in the Bible Belt, I think is what our thought was. So let's go to Winder and
more city.
Yeah, let's try.
If you could call it big city.
And I was like, well, we have a meeting and I need food. I think I need to calm down. And so we go into Friends and Winder and we get a snack and we start setting up for our meeting with our mentors. And I just start bawling at the restaurant.
Yeah. I was like, it's okay. Get it out. I used to be like, don't cry. But when I started nannying, I realized, no, kids and us adults too, sometimes we have to let it out. So
but I got way more stressed because I'm in a public restaurant. Like people are going to think you're beating me. At least that's like what my brain thinks. And
it was empty.
It was empty. Like only the servers were like,
but she was very concerned.
She didn't say anything. She just was like pretending like, yeah, oh, okay. Can I get you anything else? And just, being kind. I like when people just ignore me. Like, so
please don't draw attention to the fact that there's makeup on my face or whatever it is.
Yeah. So I'm crying and then we get on the call with our mentors and then I start bawling again as we're telling them like, oh my God, people were so mean. And they too were kind of shocked.
They were more surprised than I expected. I thought they might have run into meanness more and maybe had
that experience and like, maybe would have had not an expectation, but
they were
an inkling. Yeah. And so then that made me feel kind of like a little bit better in the sense of like, okay, so no one saw this coming.
Yeah.
And so after that call, I said, have a bad day today.
There was. Okay.
Tomorrow, drop it.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And so I was like, okay, I'll try. And so we finished our meeting, we finished our lunch, we go outside and we made a reel. Made it look fun. And we said we had a bad day, but we're coming back and we'll do it again.
Yeah, we did. We were like, okay, and that's a wrap. And then we both went home. Where would you say it went kind of from there?
We realized that we needed to hit a different type of audience. And so we spent hours and days finding what that would look like. So in my brain, I'm thinking breweries, that would probably be a good place. Everyone goes to breweries, all types of people. We were on phone call after phone call.
Together and separately.
And that we weren't really getting a return on that.
No.
And then we had reached out to the connections that we made in Monroe and kind of got ghosted
a little bit. So then something kind of fun happened randomly because you were on an anniversary date with your husband for your marriage. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah, if y'all remember, I posted about mine and Simon's anniversary. It was our 5th year anniversary, wedding anniversary. So we always like to do an activity that goes along with the traditional anniversary gifts.
Yeah, you guys are really cute that way. I like it. I remember one year she reached out to me and she goes, this year it's fabric or cloth or something. And it's just cute every year.
So this year it was wood. So we went to Board and Brush and we did a wood crafting thing there. And that was so cool. So fun. We made some really cute things. And after that, we went to axe throwing. So more wood, throwing things at a wood target. And the place was dead.
It was called Lumberjacks.
It was called Lumberjacks in Athens. And
I don't know why we always say that. In Athens.
I mean, there's like 2 locations. There's one in like Wisconsin or something.
Oh, okay.
Obviously. Got it. So you got to,
All of our Wisconsin listeners, get yourselves to Lumberjacks.
So the place ended up being dead. And the manager was super sweet. And she was like, well, just throw as long as you want. Obviously, we don't need the lanes. And so we're like, oh, thank you. Because we knew our time was up. And we were like, what are we doing? There's a bar there. And so once I was starting to get exhausted, we went over to the bar and Simon had some beers and I was talking with the manager and just kind of brought up like, hey, do you guys sponsor families? Like, we're kind of like, this is
And
what
that's
we're
out of
doing.
your comfort zone.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so very proud of her.
I mean, but at this point, we've already done it. I've already been turned down so many times, made phone calls, and that was way out of.
True.
You had to start that for me. You had to start doing some calls, and then I was like, oh, I got this.
Melissa sounds like a dork on the phone. I can also.
So I told her a little bit about what we were doing, and she goes, let's have a percentage night. Just that easy, just that fast, just snap, boom, let's have a percentage night. Yeah. And I was like, oh, really?
Thank you, Kate.
Yeah. And she literally in the spot said, yes, absolutely.
And then Sam said, we have a percentage night. She called me or told me on a text or something. And I was just like, what? How did she get that?
And I was like,
I was getting walls.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, you did. You opened your mouth.
Okay. Yes. Oh, I opened my mouth. So sometimes it's not bad.
Oh God. There's your sexual joke of the day.
I wasn't trying to be sexual. I just meant like oversharing.
Oh, well then I took it too far.
All right. Get your brain out of the gutter, Melissa. Jesus.
So we had a percentage night and that was so fun. And it was actually really cool. Like we had somebody from Simon's work show up. We had people from my shop show up.
We had a random family show up.
They didn't know who we were.
They didn't know who we were. They heard about us about the event from word of mouth at like a place that I don't even recall marketing to.
Yeah.
So
something somewhere happened good.
Yeah.
And that family came and supported us. And then we had some other people who were just there and ended up donating money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was really fun. We did karaoke.
It was honestly a successful night. It was so much fun. If not anything else, it was so much fun.
We are starting to finally see some positive things.
Yeah, we're like, yes. But next week rolls around and I go, this marketing for this event isn't really taking off like I thought. And then I look at it and I go,
a month out.
We were exactly a month apart when this, yes, you were correct. And I was like, hold up. All right. We don't even have the traction that I was expecting at this point for the main event, the big event. What do we do?
We didn't have many nearly like we had thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we'll say that.
We will say that. And so then that put me into a little bit of a panic again of holy smokes. All right. Well, I think we can still do this. And then the next week, I have a little bit of a health problem. Go to the doctor. And then
she says a little bit, but at the time it was slightly
felt like a big deal. And then the next week, I go to another doctor's appointment with a procedure and was like, holy fuck, I might die. Like, what is happening? And so then it was like, all right, we're done. We gotta figure something out because I just can't handle this anymore. Like, I felt like a lot of our sponsors weren't helping spread the word as like I had anticipated, I feel like. Yeah. And so I felt like it was all on me and I'm doing everything the best that I can. And I was like, this is what my health looks like. I'm done. I don't want to like quit, but we gotta dumb this down.
Yeah.
And we had to make that decision that day that I finally
had to.
Yeah. It was the last day that we could back out of the venue.
Yeah.
And we were talking and I was like, look, if we're going to make this decision, we got to make it right now. And I think I can live with it because at this point I don't have a choice.
Yeah. And so also we were kind of like, okay, well then what's it going to look like? What are we going to do? Mm-hmm. And we knew that Kelly was going to be staying at a bed and breakfast in the area. And we thought, okay, maybe we can just go host it at hers. Mm-hmm. Won't go into all the details, but.
So that day we called them. We called the owners of the bed and breakfast and they were really nice. And
they said, come out and meet us.
Come on down. Let's see.
Right now we went.
Yeah. Yeah. They said, come see if our space is kind of tight. Like, can it hold you and how many people? And I was like, well, we would really dumb it down. Like just kind of have like a VIP group. So like maybe 15. So we drive down there and we go and check it out. And we're like, okay, this can work. This can work. There was a great outdoor space and the inside space was gorgeous, but I
wanted the inside, you wanted the outdoor. But at this point I was like, I am not going to argue because at least we're going to have a space.
Yeah. So we left it at, we'll let you know, indoor or outdoor. I'm hoping the weather's nice and we can do it outdoor because it's just more spacious and it would have been comfortable.
But we're definitely doing it. Like our entertainment, our main entertainment for the night is staying here.
Yeah. So we think we have it all planned out. The auction's moved online. The event's been changed, but we got great feedback. Like, honestly, that did do a boost in interest and stuff. And so I was like, okay, we're on to something. And then it's the week of the event. It's the week of the event. And I get a text message from Melissa. We were supposed to record the rest of our episodes for the month because Christmas is coming. And we know, like, no one wants, we're not going to record on Christmas Eve. Like, we just knew.
Right.
And we had shopping coming up and it just wasn't going to happen. So we had to record that day. And I get a text saying, I just can't.
I couldn't. This happens every year at the shop where I end up having all these all-nighters that I have to pull. And I'm just up all night because if I'm here at the shop during the day, I don't get anything done. So Jacob and Michelle watch the shop because of customers, and I love them and we want them and we need them. But I've got to be here when I can be productive. And so I'll come in at night and quilt all the quilts that have to get sent out before Christmas. And I have deadlines. And so every year at this time, and you can see we have 3 quilt machines, and she's here right now at the shop with me. We're recording here. And all of the machines have a quilt on them. And so I had stayed up all night. I sent her a text.
It's 4 in the morning. So you tried to catch me before I left my house. So
yeah,
trying to be like as considerate as possible. Like, I know I'm canceling, but don't leave your house yet. Don't ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt awful, but I knew I couldn't do it. I would fall asleep and die. I said to Brett, because he was here kind of late, not as late as me. He's like, I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, I was supposed to have gone home already, but there's always something that happens. Something happened. I ended up staying here way later than I was supposed to. And I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to drive to Sam's tomorrow and I'm going to fall asleep. And he goes, I said, like, I might die. And he goes, tell her that. So I texted you.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. So I responded back and I was like, all right, so we just got to find a different day that we can record. No big deal.
Yeah.
We can still get it done. And you called me.
I can't remember why I called.
Oh, because
you said something.
Because I was like, oh, well, remember we can't record next Tuesday because we have shopping. So can we do like a different, like Wednesday, a different day this week or something? And then you called me immediately and you were like, I can't do that. And I was like, what do you mean? You can't do what? And you were like,
I told you that I scheduled a trip for me and Brett to go to North Carolina. And you're like, why? You knew that we were shopping. And I was like, yeah, but I thought I could go shopping separate and blah. Anyway, it just put a damper on everything.
Bummer. Like, yes, I was so bummed. I was like, what? It felt like
betrayal.
Not betrayal. No, not betrayal.
Okay, good. No. I felt so bad.
No, not betrayal, because the one half of me was like, good. I'm so glad you guys are going on like a get better trip. And I told you that.
You did.
But then the other part of me was like, how could this not be as important to you as it is to me? And that's not fair, because that doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
But we had a plan. I was excited about the plan. Like, it was the plan from the beginning, and it's the one thing that was the plan from the beginning. So I was like, God damn it, the last thing.
The one thing that has worked out from the beginning.
The last thing that I thought.
What? Oh no, what else?
Because when I'm like, man, this is the one thing that's been planned from the very beginning, the whole time. Then I follow up with the bed and breakfast that Kelly was staying at.
All of this in the same day that I sent her that text that morning.
Yes. So then I'm like, Melissa, I can't talk to you right now. I got to figure out how we're going to fix this. And so we get off the phone, and then I'm like, well, let me just check with the Airbnb, make sure that we're still set to gather that this Saturday. And I send them a text of like, hey, I just want to make sure we're still good. This is the time that people should start showing up. And they send me this very odd text back saying, oh, we
didn't hear from you or something.
We didn't realize that this was a thing.
And I'm like, we came out to you physically and met you in person and shook on it. Like, how could that not be a thing?
So I'm like, oh, I'm sorry if there was a miscommunication. My understanding was that it wasn't a matter of if we're having it there. It was a question of inside or outside. And they were like, yeah, no, they
didn't even tell us like if they booked it for something else. She just basically was like, yeah, no.
Yeah. She was basically like, yeah, it's best if you figure something else out. And I was like, what the fuck? What?
What, like 3 days before?
Yeah. This is a Tuesday. And so I'm like, well, fuck, like, now what? Because that place was booked by Kelly because she wanted to be in a space that was walkable because she gets really exhausted. I mean, she works so hard.
Well, and we told them that night. We said, we need a place. She's our entertainment for the night. We would like to do it here because then she can go straight to bed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
they're like, okay.
Yeah. And so then that's 3 big changes in like an hour span. And I just, I was like, of course. So all of this happens while I'm still in bed at like 7:00 in the morning. And I'm like, I can't get out of bed. And Simon goes, well, I need to go to work and we need to figure out what you need to do. And I was like, I just can't even right now. Like, I just want to stay in bed and just hide here. And he goes, well, let's do, what's your first 3 steps? And I was like, well, getting out of bed, putting clothes on, getting Nora. And he goes, okay, so there's your first 3 steps. And I was like, okay. So then he leaves and I still hadn't gotten out of bed. So then he calls to make sure I got out of bed. And I was like, no. And so he stays on the phone with me until I get out of bed, put on clothes. And then I was like, all right, well, let me just go get Nora. And I had to run an errand. I can't remember what it was. I had to get my meds. Melissa, you didn't know this.
No, what?
The night before I didn't take my medicine because I had run out. And so we had already pre-known, like, hey, I might kind of be a psycho tomorrow. Let's make sure that let's just remember to be calm. And so that's why he was also trying to give me steps. And so when I woke up and everything fell apart, like we already were hoping I didn't turn into a psycho. And
and then here it came.
Everything down at once.
Oh,
I totally forgot about it.
I'm actually really proud of how you coped then with all of that.
Yeah. No, but that's why it was such a big deal of like, I just can't get out of bed. Like, I just can't handle this.
See, that's another thing. Like, you just never know even what people close to you are going through.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I forgot about that. So the whole day is first 3 steps. A silver lining did happen. I had a phone call with Miss Mary. She's the one who works kind of with the 5 Hive. She has the program that's called Moms Adopting Moms. And a lot of the families that we have been working on supporting was coming from her organization. So I had a meeting with her to discuss, hey, all right, the family's on this list. I need clarity on what it means when they're this size or they don't have an age. So how are we supposed to know what toys to get? So we went through and it turns out that we were able to dwindle down the list that we were kind of, responsible for.
5 families.
Mm-hmm. But they ended up getting sponsored from somewhere else.
That's nice.
And so then we ended up with 13 families. And I was like, okay, well, that's another good. Okay, this is a little less pressure. Take something off the plate. So I go, well, you know what? At this point, it's going to have to be at my house.
Yeah.
And that just is what it is. And then I go, okay.
Where's Kelly going to stay?
So I message Kelly and I go, Kelly, I live in the middle of nowhere. I was like, there's an Airbnb, a bed and breakfast that's really cute. I can call and see if they have availability, or you can stay with me. I have a private room, private bathroom. That's an option. And then she just goes, I'll see you Saturday. I'll be staying with you. And I was like, oh, okay. I was really expecting her to be like, fuck this. Y'all have a great time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out. And she was so kind. And she was like, no, I guess I'll see you on Saturday. I'll be with you. Thank you. And I was like, oh my God, okay. We're still okay. And
she has such a calming presence too.
Yeah, she does. Actually, another fun fact. So she shows up on Saturday and I'm still getting myself ready. I really thought that I was going to have some like calming time before like having to get myself ready and getting everything together. And I ended up not, of course. Big shock, guys. Big shock. I found things to do. And I go out into the living room while I'm finishing getting ready so I can chit chat with her. And once I finished and I sat down on the couch and I just start like everything's trembling. And then, like when you get so anxious that you feel very, very cold and your whole body's trembling, but you're not cold.
Yeah.
And she was like, what? Like, you need, like, it's okay. I was like, I just get like this. Just ignore me. And I'm like literally tweaking, like, and like literally like standing up, sitting down, like twiddling my fingers, like tapping my foot, getting up, getting down. And she goes, all right. Simon leaves the room and she goes, all right, let's take a deep breath together and do a little.
Grounded you?
She did.
Oh, I love that.
And you know what? I didn't even realize until the very end, like you were the last one to go home. And I didn't realize until the very end. I was like, oh, I actually never shook or got like super nervous like the rest of the night. Like, so it was before everyone got there.
That's wonderful.
That I was like having like a big meltdown. And yeah.
And that grounding like lasted you through the night.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So wild.
Oh, that's so
But anywho, so the backup plan, we also had broken up who's getting what. Because I was like, at this point, now I can't go to Winder and to Covington. Because Covington, we had a bakery that was making a custom treat for us called Little Rabbit. It's this new bake shop in Covington. And they were doing this beautiful custom macaroon cake because that's their specialty. And what's really fun and why we picked them is because it's a mystical place. It's kind of like an Alice in the Wonderland, like just quirky. And so I go in and the place is actually like adorable. And I ended up buying a lot of things from the shop when I went to go pick up the cake because I just wanted
macaroons ever.
They don't like macaroons, guys.
Same. I'm pretty picky. They're a little, I just thought egg white thing and they're too crunchy and fluffy and they just disappear in your mouth. These were how a macaroon should be.
Best thing I have ever put in my mouth. And then the cake, I was like, it was even better. I was like, I never want to stop eating this cake. And oh my God, it was so good.
He designed it just for us. It was beautiful.
Donated. Yeah. 100% donated.
Yeah.
And then Melissa went to go get the food from Winder because they couldn't obviously deliver that far out.
It's actually in Jefferson.
Oh, Jefferson.
Yeah. Time to cater. And I get up there and they were so nice, you guys. One, I had to call them. I don't think I told you this because I took a wrong turn. I was on the phone and I have my GPS set so that it doesn't like interrupt me and say like where I'm supposed to go. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm on the phone. I'll just look at the map though. And I took about 10 minutes to realize I was going the wrong way on the highway.
Oh no.
So I was going to be about 20 minutes late. And so I called them and they were so nice about it. They're like, we're here anyway. Just come on in. The bistro is going to be closed, but you just come in and we'll help you load your car up. And so I did. And I got there and the owner, it was Mindy, right? Yeah. And
Keith and Mindy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. They were so nice. They were just like, oh, let us help you load. They put everything in the back of the car for me. And then Mindy goes, I have to stay late and make cookies tonight because this is our busy season. I'm about to make myself a coffee. Can I make you something? And I was like, no, you guys are closed. Don't worry about it. And she's like, please, just let me make you a coffee. And I was like, okay, can I pay for it? And she said, sure. And the food was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was so good. Everyone loved it. And they were just so accommodating with all the changes too. So that was really appreciated. But
we all get back together at Sam's house and
the show goes on.
Truth is, the rest of the night was just honestly because we had people around us that we trusted and loved, I think.
Yeah.
Is what made it just relaxing.
Yeah. And
because I was scared to do the live.
I was nervous. As we know, it's totally a different ball field when we're sitting here behind our mics, behind a screen and, there's no eyes on you. At the end of the night, I asked Kelly during the live, I said, what is the impact that each of us individually are providing, everyone that's involved?
Yeah.
And when she was telling us what we bring to the table, she said, I don't mean this in a rude way. This is a compliment. You inspire people with your imperfection.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's very sweet to say that because but
I actually am so about accepting that.
Yeah.
I'm ready in this point in my life to say, you know what? I can't do.
It is what it is.
What I would love to be an amazing and perfect and put together person, but I'm not.
I don't know how she does it. I mean, I know how she does it.
Because I think Kelly is that.
Yes. It's like she never says a word out of place. It's like
I know
with the flow and she's just always got the right words to say. And we just go, what were we saying?
Word vomit.
All right. Let's just keep going, guys.
And you're here with us. Let's go. But it worked out. And I don't now just because I was talking about all the people right around us.
People that
We loved.
you loved us and
we knew
cared
loved
what
us.
we were
That's
doing.
probably the biggest thing. And I guess in the end, I kind of want to say thank you to you guys too, because
At the end of the day, we made goal.
we made goal.
We are taking care of all the families.
And we
all
know
of us.
that our Skirts Up squad loves us too. And I don't think we could have gone through it without
everyone's
everybody.
support. That's really what we want to get at is it was a mess. There was so much disappointment. There was so much failure of this is what it was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
But back to the conversation with Jill, that's the expectation that I had set on myself. It's like, this is a success if we can do it just the way that we imagined.
Yeah.
But it was still a success and nothing was as imagined.
Honestly, I could tell you I stressed up until the second I got to your house. And then when I walked in and I was like scared to tell you I forgot the the tripod. Not because she's mean, because I'm like always forgetting things and it's embarrassing. But as soon as you were like, we're going to make it work, and you were dressed up in your cute fairy wings and you're like, this is going to be fun. And it was that point where I thought, okay, we can accept ourselves in not being perfect. Let's just do it. We're just doing it. We're doing it. Mm-hmm. And then I think we just tried to have fun the rest of the night. And we did. We made
good
goal.
Food, had good conversation, and we made goal.
And what are we doing Tuesday?
We're going shopping.
We are going shopping. We are going to get all of those. This is the fun part. We get to get the things for the families. Like, it's going to be kind of tangible, feeling like, oh, this is for that 4-year-old.
End of the day, everything worked out the way that it worked out. Everyone's supported. Everyone is sponsored. And we had the help that we ended up needing with you guys.
And we love you.
So thanks for bearing with us. Thanks for logging in on that live. It'll be on Facebook for the next 30 days.
Yeah.
So if you missed it and you just want to see what happened and what all was said, go ahead. Thanks for listening to our whole story of our mega fail
of the year. All right, Skirts out.
If you liked what you heard today, hit that like button or the subscribe button or whatever button it is that you have.
Just hit it. To continue this conversation with us, join the Skirts Up Show on what is it again?
Well, we have Facebook, we have YouTube,
and Pinterest.
And no, we do not have a Pinterest, but we have Instagram.
You knew what I meant.
Rate and review. Rate and review.